All right, Shane, other matchup in the SEC East. A lot of implications for this one. Florida Gators coming to Kentucky. The Wildcats are so fired up for this one. It's officially a sellout. It's going to be rocking up there in Lexington. It's a night game. That's going to help Kentucky, you got to think. And I know Florida, obviously the more dominant team historically, but these last couple games have been very, very tight. Kentucky, of course, won in 2018 in Gainesville, but to Florida, it was a touchdown game in 2019, and Florida won last year. So certainly Florida still got the edge over Kentucky here in recent seasons, but this feels like a new Kentucky, Shane, where they're feeling good. Hell, they're turning the ball over left and right and still winning football games. That is going to be key to this one, fixing Chris Rodriguez, and we're going strength on strength pretty much because we got two of the most dominant rushing teams, not only in the SEC but in the country, meeting in Lexington, and we're going to find out which of these teams is more tough physically, because that certainly seems to be the kind of the mindset that Florida's got this year, and we all know that's what they've had under Mark Stoops basically his entire time there. And then a little conspiracy, I don't really consider it, but conspiracy, Shane, these Wildcats are getting some reinforcements this week because R.J. Adams, Jaton McClain, Andrew Phillips, Ernest Sanders, Vito Tisdale, and Joe Williams have all been, those are all the guys that got charges filed. All charges dropped. They're available for the Kentucky Wildcats. How convenient for the Florida game that for this key stretch here. But, man, that's just kind of adding to, the anticipation for this one.
What were they charged
I think
with?
it was some kind of like there was a house party, and the allegation was, I guess they weren't invited, but they came in anyway, and then they started a fight. But let's throw up this tweet from R.J. Adams. I'll read it if you're just listening on the pod.
Yeah.
I'm glad the truth has finally come out as my fabricated charges have been dropped. Thankful for my family and friends who have supported me up to this point. Excited to get back on the field. So they say this never even happened. There's nothing to it. So,
I heard it was burglary. That's what I thought. So
I think I guess breaking into someone's place and residence and taking stuff, but obviously I wasn't there, so I don't know. No charges for any of them, so it kind of leads you to believe, maybe I don't know what the hell happened, but they're good to go. That's all that matters on the field for Kentucky this week. But what are your thoughts on this matchup? The importance of it, Shane, because we just talked about Tennessee and Missouri and how those teams are, hoping to get to a bowl game. That was Kentucky for years and years. How do we get a path to a bowl game? Certainly that's still celebrated in Lexington when you make a bowl game, but they got greater aspirations, brother. I know people laugh at this, but hell, they're trying to get to Atlanta, and you have no shot to go to Atlanta if you cannot beat the Florida Gators and the Georgia Bulldogs, particularly when you get them at home, when you get them in a night game. This seems like a prove-it game to me for the Kentucky Wildcats. A lot on the line for Mark Stoops and company. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I saw those boys got cleared, and I said, look at Coach Stoops trying to steal a victory. Oh, I love it. I love it, Mike. A little controversy coming in this one. One thing I always think about this game, and last year was a one-off, but you think, like you said, this was a time. A lot of people forget that Kentucky went to the Swamp and won. They forget that the 2 years in between there were tight ball games, sometimes close to a possession. So, I mean, this was, I think, back in the day, if you remember, this game was typically played earlier in the season. And I think that was an advantage for Kentucky. It just felt like they were already hitting on all cylinders, and Florida was trying to find their identity. Hell, they found a quarterback the last time that they had a real tight battle here with Kyle Trask. But that being said, Mike, I think playing a little bit later has helped Kentucky in reverse. I think, they came out sloppy. Now, their offense looked good. There was humming, but they took a step back with UTC. It felt like last week. They still struggled a little bit, but there was some improvement. I think this was more beneficial for Kentucky playing later in the season. So I'm with you. If you love running the ball, if you love a rushing offense attack, if you want to go to a quick game, because I would imagine this is going to be the shortest game played Saturday because of all the running and the chains moving. But that's what you're going to get, and you're going to get a battle in the trenches because both these teams think that they can run on each other, and they may. Who knows? But I think if that's the case, it's going to come down to defense. It's going to come down to who makes the big plays, who forces the punts. I think that's what's going to happen here. I hope to God for both teams that it doesn't come to a shootout. We don't want Will trying to win this game. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, we don't want, if you're a Florida fan, you don't want this to become an air attack that you've not really had to use. You know what I'm saying? So AR-15, keep an eye on him. It wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't get a little more playing time. If it is true they rested a lot of players last week, look for the Florida Gators to come out fresh because Kentucky has had some tough ball games here the last couple of weeks. So those are a couple of things I'm looking at, is like fatigue, competitive depth, that sort of stuff. So from that standpoint, you kind of like Florida's odds, but like I said, if this gets to a ground and pound and who's the biggest, baddest line, who knows, man? Don't be surprised if Kentucky doesn't make this a ball game.
Yeah, and I love that last point you made about the matchup because this is going to be a man's game, Shane. This is not going to be, any kind of fancy tricks. Now, of course, with Dan Mullen and Liam Cohen, you may get some trick plays, and who knows, that may bust the game wide open, but you're just not going to consistently do much in this football game if that's your game plan. This has got to be tough-minded. You have got to just go straight at the defense, the teeth of the defense. They know you're coming. You know they're coming. And Alabama could not stop Florida, which concerns me for Kentucky. But on the flip side, hell, why does Missouri got such a poor ranked run defense? Because Kentucky shredded them. South Carolina, we had a lot of hopes for that defensive line in that matchup, and Kentucky shredded them. So can they do it against the Florida Gators, their toughest challenge to date? That'll be key to this matchup, and we'll find out if Kentucky's legit or not. They keep turning the ball over. Florida's going to work them up there in Lexington. They play a clean game of football. Maybe they are legit. Maybe they are a true SEC East contender, and we'll find out Saturday night.
Hell yeah. I wish I was 4-0, Mike. I'll tell you that. I don't care how we got it or who we played. The end result is what matters. So this is, like you said, it feels like one of those games that they're going to chain the doors behind them when they get on the field. So I'm ready for it.
Mark, how concerned are you that Chris may fumble one time too many, especially at a time when he can release the quarterback fumble?
Well, of course. I'm confident that Chris will get it corrected. Any time you let things go to the point where they are right now, there's a concern and it needs to be addressed. There's no denying that. I'm not at all at a point where we need to be in a state of panic or anything, but we have to get any habits that we're creating early in the season here, we got to get corrected.
What are you telling me? That play, both those plays look pretty good, except for the fact that he's just loose.
Yeah, I think the second one in particular, once he cut it inside, the ball was too loose, and he could have put two hands on it at that point. You're going to get hit by some big physical guys, and at that point, you got to cover it up with two hands.
The last two games, offense has gotten off to really hot starts. Feels like the script is there. How do you extend that?
Well, a lot of it is self-induced in that we can't do. I think we got a little off track this past week being backed up. It's not an excuse, but, I think one of the possessions we're backed up, we got a couple first downs, created some decent field position, got a punt. Another one when we were backed up, we didn't get a first down. We go 3 and out, and that was a bleed from the -3. And then I think we had one punt early in the second quarter, and then we kind of got back on track. And then the fumbles jump in. We go with a long drive, end up with a field goal, but get it really close to scoring a couple times. Good drives, another good drive, and then fumble. That doesn't help anybody. That really hurts. Getting in a routine. The minute you feel like we're starting to maybe hopefully wear them down a little bit and get some good drives going, we get turnover. And that's going to stall anybody.
You talked about being physical. You brought that up today. You brought it up at halftime coming off the field.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about it a lot here. Obviously, I got to think that's going to be a key this week against Florida, but you can't just talk about it. How do you as coaches make it more than just talk? How do you make it a mindset?
Well, it's also more than, physicality. I mean, toughness is the desire to prepare, each and every day, all through the week. And so, there's a lot more that goes into it than just physically. When we have effective runs, a lot of time, of course, they're physical and finishing and playing hard and playing through the whistle and the backs are running hard, but it's also executing and targeting the right guys and doing the right things and being on the same page. And when we do that, we're effective. And so I think it comes with a great deal of preparation. And of course, it's a mindset, and it'll be a real challenge because this is, one of the most physical teams in the country. There's no question. I mean, you sit there and look at, them and Alabama going at it. You got to have a lot of respect for those two teams, and they played them to an incredible game. And you don't do that unless you're very well coached and very good in all areas.